Just an average morning here at the Slinger Mansion. See, we got the Slingshot logo right when you walk in and on the marble. When we were designing this home and before we moved in, they're like, hey, you can kind of do whatever you want. And I was like, no, I'm good. And they're like, you can do whatever you want. And they were like, you can put cool designs on the floor and this and that. And I was like, well, the Slingshot logo, it is responsible for building the home. So there you have it. That's why we got it there. Mixing up some rice and grinds. Just got done with a run with my wife. We are prepping for turkey trot. And rice and grinds is organic rice. That is like a rice cereal. And this one is creamy peanut butter with chocolate rice and grinds as well. They make different flavors. They also have taco. They have unflavored. Great product, really good. I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates, but when I do, a lot of times it's rice and grinds. And this one I also threw the Total Carnivore chocolate steak shake in there. So we got some cool flavors going on. I just threw some hot water in there. I like to mix it for a little bit before I chuck it in the microwave, and then it comes out to be perfect. But for today, I'm gonna hop into my sauna, and then I'm gonna go in the cold plunge, and then I'm gonna go lift. And I invited my brother to come over as well, because I really think the cold plunge could be something that could be really beneficial for him. He has been distancing himself away from kratom. And so I think at this point in his life, I think cold therapy or just cold exposure via like a cold tub or via the shower, walking outside when it's cold and just getting a good chill. I think all those things would be really good for him to give a try to. So I want to see how that works for him. And then also he's somebody that has had pain for a long time. So he's done the cold plunge before, but I want to see what it looks like if he does the cold plunge with some sort of consistency. Will it knock the pain out of his body every single day, and how long will that last for? So I'm interested to see, because imagine if he comes over here, does the cold plunge, and then maybe later on in the day, he does a contrast shower. And if that works for 4 or 5 waking hours, it's like that might get him through every day. That's why he was taking kratom. That's how he kind of became addicted to kratom for a while. So people do get addicted to kratom. I sell kratom. I have a product called Mind Bullet. Got something in my eyeball over here. I love kratom. I've been using it for the last 3 years. But I myself have come off it too, more recently. It can be addictive, and it's something that you should take breaks from, in my opinion. But I also am a huge fan of it and think it's something that you can use when you use it responsibly. I also sell kava as well, if you want to check that out. All that stuff's at mindbullet.com. Gonna throw this in the microwave, and I usually eat this with some eggs, mainly egg whites, just to try to jack the protein calories up. And let's go throw this in the microwave. Oh, you can hear the squeak of the shoes. Everybody knows you're coming with these. Squeak, squeak, squeak. These are new Nikes. I always forget what each one's called. There's like Alpha Flies or whatever. My wife got a pair too, and we kind of have matching, but hers are a little different. She thought hers were like manufactured wrong, because they make some of these where the laces are more on the side, and it looks awkward and bizarre the first time you see that. These are kind of more normal, but hers are a little bit weirder looking. Oh, there you go. Yeah, retard shoes. For a little retarded girl. So I gave that enough mixing and stirring and all that good stuff. But I'll show you guys the secret combo. Chocolate brownie, creamy peanut butter, and that's vanilla. This is vanilla malt, Total Carnivore. This is absolutely amazing in your coffee. My wife uses that every day in her coffee. I'm a chocolate fan, so I use chocolate in everything every single day. And I put this in my coffee, and I also throw this in my rice and grinds. I will throw this wherever I possibly can. The advantage with Total Carnivore over the original steak shake, and the advantage over all other protein shakes, is that this has beef protein isolate and collagen in it as well. And those things do not break down the same way that whey protein does and other types of dairy protein might break down and get denatured from heat. So these do not get denatured with heat. You cook them at high temperatures. Throw this in the old microwave. You gotta go like this, devious. We have all kinds of, usually like a minute, minute 30, and then you gotta kind of stir it. You gotta kind of watch your rice and grinds. You don't wanna like it to turn into a brick. But we got some of this cinnamon bun, kind of peanut butter type thing. This kind of stuff's really good. This is from a company called Chalk Zero. They make some interesting products that that are sweet, that taste really good. I don't usually mess with this too much because it's like, I don't know, I just want to eat the whole jar. But my wife has better control, so she can eat things like that. Let's see. Let's fuel up a little bit here. I can show you something kind of interesting over here. This is one of my favorite supplements. This is from Ian Danny. Green apple, grapple, keto matrix. Who knows what's inside this bag? It's ketones and EAAs, essential amino acids. Really cool combo. He attaches the ketones are bound, or however you want to say it, to electrolytes. And these type of ketones, in my opinion, are some of the best. These are amazing. So I like to have the powder. I can mix it up, you know, for workouts. I also will use products from another company called Ketone Aid, and they have amazing products as well. They sell the hard ketones, which is like kind of more for relaxing, replacement for or substitute for alcohol. I like that one a lot. And then they also have a product called KE4. I forget all the different names of everything, but I can show you guys. But that one's a good one too. And sometimes I actually had that one this morning before I ran. But this one's more like intra workout. I like it more for intra workout, especially because it has the electrolytes already in it. Sounds like that is done. So hopefully it didn't turn into concrete too much. Another type of protein you can throw into stuff like this is some sort of collagen protein, because a collagen protein won't break down. Yeah, it came out perfect. And then now when it starts to kind of cool, it will solidify even more. So it should be good. I don't think it needs any more time in there, but. Mix it up, mix it up. And, oh, my wife cooked my eggs for me. So they're right here. And we just go like this. Chocolate peanut butter eggs. Anybody? Anybody? Just me? Nobody else? I usually just throw a little salt on the eggs. Sometimes cook them a little tallow, beef tallow. I use this beef tallow right here. Carnivore Crisp beef butter. I really like this ghee a lot. So these are my kind of cooking oils, if you will. I don't really think that any oils are great for you, but if you need something to cook with, sometimes it's nice to get like these are just like fats. I don't even really consider them oil since they're not even really in oil form. I do have some olive oil. We got some of the snake oil. This is from that weird dude, Brian Johnson, the guy who's like super pale, vampire dude. But I don't know, high quality olive oil, tastes good. I don't really drink or use olive oil. I don't really use olive oil all that much for anything, but if you want some of it, that's a good one. So now, what I do is I just smash the eggs into there. And some of you are probably grossed out. But like, look, man, egg whites don't really taste like much of anything, right? So they sort of mix with anything. I've actually, in the rice maker, have made a huge thing of egg whites before. And it came out pretty good. It does get a little burnt at the bottom. But if you just want a giant thing of cooked egg whites, it's kind of a cool way of doing it. So there we go. We got like 20 grams of protein from the Total Carnivore. and then probably another 20 to 30 grams of protein from the egg whites. And we got some good carbs in here from the rice. Just make sure it doesn't burn my face off. And here we go. Freaking amazing. Amazing. Pre-workout. I was kind of hoping to have this actually this morning before I ran, but it just sort of didn't work out that way. Oh. I have a coffee that I made earlier. It has protein in it. But because everything's always about protein all the time, this is a cold coffee, so we'll throw a Steak Shake scooper in there. Bam. Remember, Steak Shake, Total Carnivore, these proteins are also made and fortified with liver, kidney, heart, spleen, and pancreas. So dump that in there. This might be handy to have. I think we just bought this off Amazon, but it's attached to the wall, so I can't like pull it out of here. But it's just one of those little... We have a few different like frother things in here. This one's badass, but this one was like a little bit pricier. But none of them are super expensive, but it has 3 different levels. It really gets kind of going. And then this guy goes pretty good. So just get that kind of blended in there. Sometimes I got to kind of scrape the sides a little bit, make sure that all gets in there. And this already has protein in it from earlier today, and I also have like a ketone coffee thing that I chuck in here too. So everything's like, nothing around here is ever normal. None of my drinks are ever normal. Everything's a potion, you know. I spend like half my time probably making like potions and weird shit in my kitchen. Even just cooking up like a steak or something, we have seasonings. We have pink Himalayan sea salt, taco seasoning. We also have Montreal, as well as an Italian seasoning. And all these seasonings have liver, kidney, heart, spleen, pancreas. So everywhere you can think of, I'm always looking for an edge. You know, I'll cook a lot of my foods with this because in beef tallow, I believe there's some good fat-soluble vitamins, minerals. There's a lot of stuff in these types of saturated fats that I think that we haven't even really fully discovered yet. So I love using a lot of these different products and gadgets and things. And even like if I'm going to eat carbs, I might have something like this. I might have something like berberine. I might have something like this. Like I just, you know, and so I'm like, while I'm here, while I'm at it, might as well I just kind of look over here and I'll grab something. I'm like, yeah, I'll take one of each of these. Why not? Fuck it. It's supposed to help the carbs absorb into the muscles a little bit better. I don't know how true it is, but who cares? There we go. Bottoms up. Yeah, those things are referred to as glucose disposal agents. You can look that kind of stuff up. Cinnamon is even a glucose disposal agent. I don't see it over here right now, but we got some somewhere. Let me show you that ketone coffee, huh? Oh. Yeah, that's this guy. Keto Spike. This is actually a decaf coffee, which is kind of nice. I don't know if they make one non-decaffeinated, but I like decaf. So there's like 4 milligrams of caffeine in there, which isn't really much of anything. This one's called Keto Start from the same company, Audacious. You can see some of the info right there. So again, I'll use these powders and these different things in my shakes sometimes. I got a little stuck on there. There we go. I'll take you over here into my supplement room. Oh, we've got some steaks defrosting over here. We're having a party later today with some family. Certified Piedmontese beef. You can see the stats on the back. This is a tri-tip. Those are just chilling, defrosting. Grass-fed, grass-finished, regenerative, amazing meat. Squeaky shoes. Turn the light on here. There we go. Oh. I know people know I'm into the barefoot shoes and stuff, but it's still nice to get into like just running shoes. You know, these are very protective, and you can go crazy in these things. And some people think that's to your detriment. I just think it's an advantage. And then plus, these have a lot of spring to them. You can see I can't even like bend them. They're still pretty new, so they kind of like just launch you forward. And then yeah, it's like just a bunch of different. A lot of this stuff is just stuff accumulated over like a period of time. I don't take all this stuff. I do need to organize everything a little bit better in here. But we've been working on it. You can see some of this stuff is better put together over there. Legendary Foods, Ron Penna. These guys make these amazing tasty pastries along with the sweet rolls. These are the sweet rolls. These things are amazing. Low sugar, low carb. David is another company that makes some good bars. Legendary also makes like protein chips. Protein chips are awesome. Bubs. These guys are a sponsor of mine. Their product is in the steak shakes, their collagen, and their MCT oil powder. And then there's the first ever Slingshot. That's it right there, in glass case. This right here is the, KE4 I was telling you about. Powerful ketones. So these are just different than like powdered ketone. These are like very, very, very strong. And sometimes if I was going to go on a long run, especially when I was doing marathon training, I just throw this in my fanny pack. And this was a great thing to have with me for a little extra boost of energy during the workouts. This right here, we turned it into a puzzle. But this is made by my daughter Quinn when she was like 8 or so. Can't quite grab that very well. And that logo is there, except for when we had the design guy mess with it, he kind of changed it a little bit. But anyway, as time has kind of gone by, when Quinn first made this, I wasn't a tree-hugging hippie. But now I'm into grounding and all these other things. And when I look at this logo, it sort of blows my mind, especially because like a tree upside down kind of almost looks a little bit like tree roots. And our nervous system, our body, and all this, I don't know, all the wiring, all the veins, all the different things, when you look at it, it kind of almost looks like a tree. And so like heart and tree, to me, like those things go together. And the fact that like this is this color and that leaf is that color. I'm like, I don't know. Like there's some cool intuition in this design. And so that's why from the Within You brand, which is the Within You brand is named after my mother, because my mom has kind of always told me. My mom died a few years ago. Had a lot of health problems, but basically they stemmed from being obese. But she taught me and told me that everything that you need is already there. It's all on the inside. It's all within you. That's why that got to name the Within You brand. And then when I decided to make the company, I was like, I need to steal this logo from my daughter because this is amazing. To me, this represents the name of the brand very well. Everything you need is right here. Everything you need is in this soil. In fact, Jay Shetty, famous speaker on YouTube, he talked about how these trees were put into a biodome at one point, and they did this like study, and the trees, they'd grow, and poof, trees would grow, poof, trees would grow, poof, and the trees would die. And you know why the trees would die? Because they had no resistance. They had no wind. They didn't experience any rain. They didn't experience the proper elements. And when we experience the proper elements and we have these experiences in our life, interactions with other people, other experiences, different types of food and so on, these things over time make up who we are. And you're made up of, right? You're only as good as like your surroundings. You're only as good as like kind of almost like where you came from. You can overcome a lot as you're, going through life. You don't have to be the same person you were years ago. There's a lot of like changes you can make, but that kind of beginning ground. And the other thing is those trees, one of the reasons why those trees died too is because they didn't dig their roots in. And we got to kind of, as people, we got to dig our roots in. You got to get to the heart. So I don't know, that logo, it kind of trips me out. And the fact that the tree's like, is the tree dying or is it like regenerating? It's like it's just got one leaf left. It's just hanging on by a thread. So I always thought that was cool. There's that Quinn Bell right there. Always trying to be funny and wacky and weird. I think you can get a close-up of this picture at the bottom. We got to hang this up too, by the way. I'm not a very good dad. But I think the consensus is that that's the greatest picture of all time. Holding up a big thing of Nestle Quick. Put that away. It's got too much sugar in it. There's Jake Bell cruising around. That was at the park in Davis by the farmer's market. Used to take him there every day. Well, not every day, but it sounded good, right? There's a little bit of pepper on these eggs, but it doesn't make any difference. There's so much chocolate and peanut butter going on in here that doesn't matter. Still amazing. All right, I got this copper bottle. I heard recently about depression glass, but I couldn't like figure out what the hell to do about depression glass. So anyway, I just bought this copper bottle, and you want to make sure it doesn't have any like liner or anything in it. I got this off Amazon. And this is supposed to like mineralize your water, give your water like a little bit of capper. I don't know, probably doesn't work very well. That's how these things usually go, but oh. So far it doesn't leak. Just keel over and die.
Second, I thought it was automatic.
You're like, what happened? What's up, guys? How you doing? Bing, bing.
What's going down?
Nothing, just eating some food.
I was freezing. I had my wet clothes on.
Once you're cold, you're done. You can't get away from it. This is my chair. I come out here and
Hamlin has a football game.
I sit like this. I go here
Ish is when
with my dog. Hey, doggy. The other day I got chased away by a bee. A bee came out here, keeping after me. A little bit of grounding.
How the chickens doing?
They're great.
They just keep cranking out eggs.
They're cranking out eggs.
I'll send you all home with eggs.
Yeah, we got lots of eggs.
So many.
Slingshot logo.
Let me take a pee first in this bathroom over here.
These are bread flippers. Loaves of bread. They're kind of actually hard to get on. But my mom bought them for me because she thought it was funny. She's like, because you have the war on carbs. It's a drawing of Andy that Sherry did when Andy was a teenager and had kind of a permy, curlyish hair. Came out really good, though.
Kind of looks like Quinn.
Yeah. So, I wish I had more time to go in here all the time, but this is the temperature right here. Hold on a second, bro. And all you do is turn this thing on, and then this is, I've got these rocks that are heating up over here. And if I want to add,
I wish I had more time to come in
I
here.
just do this.
Oh, what's happening?
And this kind of,
This is a good hair. Great hair pose now.
little combo. And then also,
You got a total mirror you can do all.
salt.
Oh, yeah.
This is a pink peppermint sea salt wall.
You know, some people make outrageous claims about these salt lamps. I think it's like beneficial,
Yeah, fine.
but I've heard some like really crazy.
Plan of attack here, so I'm gonna grab a towel and I'll give it to you, but just stay in here for a second. And you want to try to go like right from here right to the cold, so you don't.
About.
Well, yeah, so you don't get cold. Move this out of the way. Move my back fat mirror out of the way. All right, so I'm gonna give him this towel so he can kind of stay warm on his little walk over to the cold plunge, because we're trying to get used to the cold plunge. Come on out. There you go, chuck that on. And just go, 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 go.
Just hop right into the cold plunge. No
Yep.
crack hanging out?
It's not hanging out too bad. Not any worse than normal. So I put the red light on in here to help hopefully get the room temperature a little bit warmer. And just go, 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 go. The best, safest way you can get yourself in there. And breathe. Yep. Just drop in, drop in. Yep. Yep. I got you. There you go, let yourself go. You can do it. There you go, boy. Yep. Good. Breathe whatever way you need to. And then now deep breath. Make the camera hear you breathing. Wow. See if you can not resist it. See if you can kind of become part of it. There you go. See if you can put one arm under. Yep, good. To the other arm. Yep, whatever you can. Yep, yep. Breathe through it, breathe through it, breathe through it. Do your best just to get your upper back wet and then you can get out. Just drop yourself in there the best you can. Yep, yep, yeah, there you go. Good. Yep, you're out. Good. Yep, give me your hand. I got you. There we go. Hold on to the tub the whole time. Take this, hold on to the tub. Shoot. There you go. Woo. That's hard. Come over here. Come over here. Just sit down right there. There you go. Like that. And just chill. And you got the red light on your back. Nice work.
Yeah, it's crazy getting in that. Like,
Yeah.
it feels so cold, like it feels like you can't do it, which is weird. You're like, I can't do it, and then you're fine. So it's like, it's just weird. Like to me, I actually think personally for myself, I feel like it's dangerous because like I find kind of like I just have this fear of like falling in there or something, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm not that mobile.
Yeah.
And so like
And if you fell though, it's just water. So like the real trick is to dive down so that your weight is taken care of by, trying to dip down the way that you were trying.
Experience too.
Yeah, it's hard for me to do that, so I just go knees first. I go drop my knees
I
down.
think I've only done a cold plunge like 4 or 5 times, to be honest. You know, so sometimes when it's like easier to get in and out of, like I did one with Brian Shaw that was in like a hot tub, but it was cold, and so it had like steps in and out, and that was kind of like easier to at least like even though it was stepping down in, and you weren't just diving in, it was just easier to get into and out of.
Getting that upper back in there is a real bitch.
Yeah.
Go ahead and stand up, and see if you can just grab onto the tub and do some squats. Just try to like almost like warm yourself back up, and you don't need to go deep or anything, but just move around. Yeah. Yep. The real key I think when you get in a cold plunge is to really try to breathe through it. But I think the fact that you're cold averse, I think, has a lot to do with your pain. Personally, that's kind of what I think. Your body doesn't want to do it. Even just for me, like when my feet are messed up or my ankles or shins are messed up from running, even just when I put my toe in there, I'm like, I'm more sensitive.
And it didn't do anything for my pain compared to what that cold did.
Yeah, here, come over here.
You know, like how long was I in there? 30 seconds maybe?
Yeah, probably about a minute maybe.
So while like the science says that taking like a hot shower might be better for you, personally, like when I went into that, like it just zaps the pain away. Like the hot shower didn't do that. The hot shower, when I got out of it, I still felt pain, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. It's like, it's interesting. I think there just
I
needs
think
to
the
be more.
cold will help you a ton. I think that, I can get you a cold plunge. Like that's not a problem. But I think that you should commit to coming over here a little bit, hopping in there, because you can go from the sauna into there, and it'll make it easier.
I like how it has a thing for your phone or your iPad as if you're going to stay in there for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know, like.
It's hard to hear anything in there though. But it is nice that it has that. I think they want people to film.
Yeah.
They want people to film getting in there.
But also it's funny because it's like, how long can you possibly stay in there?
And these lamps, these spurty lamps, this one actually make you a little bit tan, and that one's a little bit more vitamin D-ish. But because you have all these different lights on you, and because the red light is on you, these lights aren't as intense as if they were just on by themselves. So you kind of get protected via the red light. So you get many spectrum of light with these spurty lamps. And this is EMR Tech light behind Chris there. And I'm going to get a bunch of EMR Tech lights for the whole house. I have one in the bathroom right now that I use every time I go and take a dump, because I think like that's a couple extra minutes a couple times a day where I can get some extra red light. And then I was just going to put one next to my TV, because having offsetting light is important, because when it's noon, there is blue light, but there's other spectrums of light. And so if you watch your TV the same way that, in a similar way that you go outside, where you're getting multiple spectrums of light, the blue light shouldn't be as harmful. And then plus, you can throw on some blue light blocking glasses as well. So a lot of it seems like, I don't know, a lot of it seems new and a little different for people, but basically light and dark, they're signaling. They're things that signal our body to do certain things and have certain responses. Red light seems to help us be able to control our blood sugar levels, which can be really important. It might not be that important for everybody, but it can be very important. And blue light does the opposite. It seems to have a negative impact on our blood sugar. So you're getting kind of a double whammy when you are blue lighting yourself to death and getting artificial light. Blue light comes from your phone, your computer, your tablet, and just your normal lights in your house. But the more you dive into it, the more you look into it, there are ways to figure out ways.
Why is there blue light? Like, have they figured out a way to have the lights in your house be better?
Well, they used to, yeah. So the lights that used to be in your house, the ones that actually produce heat, they actually do produce a little bit of UV, I believe, and they're safer for us. But the lights that they switch to, which are more energy efficient and keep your bill a little bit lower, your cost down a little bit, those are just more harmful to our circadian rhythm and our biology.
It's interesting. It's a trade-off, right? Like it's a money Like, I'll get it cheaper, but then
Yeah,
worse for you.
it's a trade-off, and then some people think there's a little conspiracy behind it as well, which
There's conspiracy behind everything.
yeah, there could be like I don't know. Does somebody want to control us and keep us inside all the time? I mean,
Well,
that's
like,
what happened during COVID, right? Like, so I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I like to believe that people aren't nefarious. I like to believe that people are cool and that
There's
not
all the
trying to-
things that control how much water things use. And I remember, like, last election, Trump was complaining about it, going, you go in a hotel, you got to flush a toilet 3 times.
yeah.
What use is that? Like, you used to just flush it once. Now you got to flush it 3 times because it's like a water saving.
I think when we saw him speak, he's
toilet.
talked about that, and he talked about the shower, how you're going to be in the shower way longer because the shower's not.
Yeah, it's not powerful.
It's not getting the water on you very well. It's
I
just.
think he's got a lot of good points. We're trading it off.
All right, I'm going to get into that bitch too. So here goes. Sometimes I go in there with this guy. It's a little breathing device, and I think I lost the other. Like I lost the side. There's like a side that's not supposed to have any breathing thing on it on one side, but I just cover that sometimes, and I try to breathe through here, so I might mess with that one in there. Here goes. I like to over breathe. Stay ahead of it. Like how quick can I kind of get to my nose? And even now, like my feet, my legs are stiff, so I'm gonna try to relax them. Relax the legs, relax the face, relax the hands. And you can hear it in my voice. You can't hide that. So I'm still not totally calm, but it's getting better, right?
Good.
My voice starting to change a little bit. If I use this Bass rooting thing, which by the way, I've had people come up to me before and tell me I look like Bass rooting, which is like the coolest compliment ever. I love Bass rooting. That's amazing. I'll take that all day long. I love Bass rooting. So this is a breathing device from him. It's supposed to teach you to kind of breathe through your whole back and everything. So it's a mouth breather rather than a nose thing. So you see it's got the hole here, right? And it has a hole here. And that's kind of a tiny, it's a tiny, right? Like I said, I lost a cap. There's a cap that goes on here. It's supposed to block that completely, but that's what my finger over. It works pretty much the same way. So now I'm going to try to breathe in and out of that smaller side. And what it's doing is it's teaching me to use my entire like rib cage, my lungs, my diaphragm, my shoulders, my back, all areas of my stomach to breathe. And here we go. I'm not very good at that one, so I can't hang in there that long. Something else you can try to do, even without this, you just try a really long breath. So, and you don't have to try this shit in a cold plunge. It's probably better to mess around with some of these breathing techniques outside the cold plunge. But I found that the sort of hyperventilation breathing, the Wim Hof guided meditation breathing is really, really useful in the cold plunge. But just try this. Try 15 seconds in and 15 seconds out. You can try this before you go to sleep, just when you're lying down and you feel restless and stuff like that. So here we go. Took too fast of a breath there, so you can't do it fast, you gotta do it really slow. So I'll try it again. I don't know, if you fuck around with some breathing, it's my belief you can kind of slow everything else around you. And you can handle different stresses a lot easier. So now that I'm breathing more calmly, you can see, you know, how did I handle this stressful situation? I handled it just the way Chris Duffin talked about the other day, where he said, accept the position that you're in, accept the situation that you're in, celebrate it. Well, I'm in cold water. Celebrate it and then leverage it. And that's the leverage. I found a way to breathe through it. I calmed myself down. I got into my nose. And now I get to celebrate. I get to leverage this as another fucking victory for the day. Points in the scoreboard. Right. Now I gotta figure out how to get out of here. I've learned to kind of stay in here a little longer than normal too. I used to do like 90 seconds. I'll still do 90 seconds, like if it's before a run or something like that. Because sometimes it just makes you like sort of jittery all day. But I try to stay in for a few minutes now, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, stuff like that. Oh, little beach towel. Thank you.
The towel.
Hey, that's my running partner over there.
Towel lady came in.
Yeah,
She's got fake hair.
it's a leg.
So I come out here every morning, and the sun's usually rising kind of over here by my mother-in-law's house over there, kind of behind this almond orchard over here. And I get into this circle right here, and I get on the grass, and I ground, get my feet grounded. And I'll come out here with the towel, and I'll also come out here with the rope, because I like to do the rope flow stuff. But I'm going to show you guys an easy way to do some really cool stuff with a beach towel. That's a lot of fun. Just feels great out here, and a lot of times I just kind of walk around in a circle out here, which is really nice. Waiting around for expensive rope. I know this probably looks even weirder than the rope flow. This is actually much... This probably looks a little weird and stuff like that, but and it's a little different than the rope flow, but you can explode into this. It's kind of almost like throwing a med ball. You can explode into this as hard as you want. And as I always say, you can hurt yourself doing anything, but I think the likelihood you'll hurt yourself on this is probably low. It kind of helps a little bit if the towel is wet, just a little wet. I usually come out here, I just put the towel on the ground, and it gets wet because there's dew on the grass. So the towel gets weighted a little bit, it's a little heavier. It gets a little harder to move around, but like, you can hear me breathing, right? You just do this kind of shit with it. You can curl it. You can do lateral raises. You can do shit while you're walking. I know you guys are like, what the hell is going on with this guy? What's he doing? Just finding different ways to move. It's a lot of fun. I come out here every morning. I'm in my underwear. My neighbor is over there with his dog. He sees me out here. He's probably like, what the fuck's that guy doing? But I'm just having fun. It's just cool. I like it. I come out here even if it's cold, it's windy, whatever. It's not that cold. It's California, so it only gets so cold. Anyway, about to go lift. It's a good warm up to get some training in today. See you guys in a little bit. Woo. And then, yeah, he comes underneath somehow back the other way.
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I think is it not?
I think sometimes he just turns, right? Doesn't he just turn?
Is he just turning midstream? Just
I think, but I don't know how do you, how do you,
I'm not doing this.
oh, my brain, it won't work. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
It's that turn.
It's an impossibility.
He does that turnaround thing.
It's an impossibility. It's camera trick.
You got-
He has Owen.
That's true.
So, right? He's got Owen. Owen's a good editor. They do all kinds of stuff with camera tricks. What's up, dude? How are you doing, man?
Good. Good to see you.
Things going good?
Oh, they're going great right now.
Sweet. Gonna mess around with some bench pressing. This weight's already on there. So we'll just go right to it. Shoot. Oh, that cold plunge still has me like kind of cold, sort of fired up. Oh. Go right to another plate. Gonna bench with some bands on here in a little bit, set them up. It's been a while since I've done that. Let's maybe push this over here for now. Gonna mess around with a little bit of deadlifting too. Woo! I'll wake you up in the morning.
Last time I brought everything to your house, I just sort of grabbed stuff. I want to know like potential on what I bring this time.
I want to check out today because I want to check out today and see.
Trying to get some of that little stuff out of the back of the shoulder. It's a great way to be able to give yourself a little push or assistance on something like a pull-up, or even just to stretch your shoulders. So for me, I like to grab out wide and then put my foot here and just stretch. That wide grip, I feel stretch through like my pecs. When you have the band here, you can also do stuff that you normally can't do, like, or that you might normally struggle with. So like if I have this band, the more band I have underneath me, obviously the more help and more support that I get. But if I wanted to, I could even hang off of one arm, you know, and let that arm just really relax, and I'm getting stretch through the ribs, the stomach, sort of everywhere. This feels incredible. Obviously, if you're really strong, then you could probably just hang off there one arm anyway without any problem. So in between some benching today, a couple pull-ups, and some deadlifts. Wrist wraps. This gets to be the fun part right here. Is like get a couple warm-up sets in, and then you get into like the teeth of the workout. You get into the working sets. So be set number 1. And after this, I'm going to throw some bands on. I haven't used bands in forever, so the bands are going to hurt. Hurt, but feel good at the same time. I don't have any mini bands. I got monster mini bands. These are stronger. So that'll feel good. Let's hit that deadlift. Ah, poof. Oh, that stretch feels good. Here we go. birthday. Thanksgiving. The 23rd. Baskin Robbins or Carvel. Yeah. It's fat guy weather, guys.
Yeah, I'm for it. I'm all on board.
39. You're like 39 degrees this morning. You're like t-shirt. Perfect.
Chris said the same thing, and I'm like, yeah, for me, it gets hot in the summer, and yeah, it's the best time to drop weight, but I'm so angry and upset that it's 100 degrees out.
Oh yeah.
That I'll cheat.
Yeah. Right.
Diet just because, like, too hot. Yeah, it's too hot out. I don't want to diet and be hot.
Yep.
Let me be one or the other.
Yeah, I'd be much better eating good than, you know.
It's rough when it's hot out. Keeps you inside when it's 9 million degrees out.
That's the one that gets me to run in like 115 weather.
You got to get adapted to it. Got to get used to it. Yep. There's no better way than just go.
It made running for the academy a breeze. They're like, it's 90 degrees out. I was like, this is great.
They can handle that heat. Oh, there you go. There's the old school speed bench right there. Feels like insane at the top. I haven't pushed on the bands in a long time. Benches, you're trying to get the sets to go quick too, so it's kind of one after another. Set number 2.
Yeah.
This is 135, but probably like 255 at the top. Something like that. So it adds a lot of fucking weight to bands. And at the bottom, might go from like 205 to 255 or 185 to 205. But it just, at the top, it feels pretty substantial, so might even be more. Might be like probably about 120 or 150 pounds of band tension at the top of this. So yeah, that's about right. 3 reps, as fast as you can. Oh, been a while. Been a little while since I was able to tap into that. Woo! Feel that. Just had Chris Duff in here, and here's one of his deadlift bars right here. One of the great things that came out of the Chris Duff in mind is fat handle here, easier handle when you flip it over the other way, and then this deadlift bar does this. Wow. And you can load and unload the plates very easily. So, very creative guy. Came up with a lot of great concepts. Not as creative as me, though. Mooah! Here we go. Woo! Feeling good, feeling good. Still need to get better at pull-ups. I still suck at them. So I gotta work my way to 10 clean chin-ups would be good. I think chin-ups are this way, right? Pull-ups might take a little longer. I should actually do some right here too. Get some of these cobwebs out of here. Devastating. Let's see if I can do like 2 sets in a row here this time. And I'll do the same on the deadlift. To me, just like the hot tub, just like the cold plunge, and just like what I do with running, a lot of times I do preparatory breathing. I've never really heard a lot of people really talk about this, but I did it through my whole lifting career, preparing myself to breathe I'd breathe a particular way for a particular upcoming situation. So you'd see me do the chalk bowl and do all the breathing, almost hyperventilate and bench, right? Well, I do the same thing when I go in the cold, and when I'm running nowadays, I do the same thing as I'm getting to maybe like almost about to sprint a hill or something like that. I'll utilize pre-breathing. I'll breathe as if I'm already in the situation almost beforehand. So we're gonna go here. About 15 seconds. If I breathe and I brace and I tuck my shoulders into the pockets, no pain. I can push with tons of force. I feel so strong. But if I mess that up, then I'll get like an ache or a tweak, or even the next day, sometimes something will be off. And it's just because I was just slightly off in what I was doing. As I prepare and start to get stronger again and move around sometimes these lighter weights, sometimes it doesn't matter as much. but everything matters over time. It gets accumulated. So I like to have my feet up on the bench to start. My hand placement is the same every time I go pinkies on the ring. I would just say, just follow what I'm doing, you know, like never mind what you normally do, because what you normally do probably sucks. It's probably not very strong. And if you want to be awesome and strong like me, just follow what I do. So back's totally flat on the bench, feet are up, pinkies on the power rings. These are called power rings, kids. Boom, boom, pinkies on the power rings. And now we're going to utilize the barbell to get ourselves in position, as we always do, whether it's a deadlift, bench, or squat. Pull yourself into position. Don't move your legs. Keep your feet where they are. Now we put the legs down, and we're going to adjust the midsection a little bit, and now we're ready to go. There we go. Woo. Woo! Feeling like a unit. Oh, I was gonna do my pull-ups over here this time, I forgot. Fucking bullshit. Bullshit, Russell, I tell you. Woo! Fun bench pressing again, Russell? Hopping on that incline. Fun, was it fun? Getting, I know you said it didn't feel as good, but...
I mean, I'm not as strong as I was, but it felt great.
Yeah, that's probably about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Progress.
Thanks, man.
Progress, progress, progress. Fucking awesome. That's what this shit's all about right there. That's what I'm talking about. Progress. He's down 100 something pounds. 391. Still a big boy. We still got a lot of work to do. But used to weigh, the highest we got was 505 that we measured. But who knows? Might have been higher. There's a lot of things that a sprinter will do in order to get themselves faster. They will work on their starts. They will pull sleds. They will do wind resistance with parachutes. And then they'll also do some of the opposite sometimes. They'll use overspeed devices. They'll use a treadmill that will kind of allow their legs to go faster than what their proprioception and what their body can normally handle. They'll sometimes run behind a car. They'll run behind a person, so there's less drag. Swimmers do the same thing. But when you're trying to become a stronger, better athlete, or even just more explosive athlete, you have to explore many, not all, but many of the different energy systems of the body and many of the different capabilities of the body. So here today, we have bands on here. And we are trying to apply as much force to every single set that we're doing here today, the bands help to decrease your momentum, because if I'm gonna take 135 and try to throw it around like crazy, I may have said some of that wrong. What I'm trying to say is the bands are actually helping to reduce a lot of deceleration that I'd have to do by myself with the bar, which can sometimes lead to injury. So when this extra tension is on there, you could say, hey, why not just throw on more weight? You could get some of that with weight, but the weight isn't always appropriate in the different, in the strength curve that you're gonna experience. This is lighter at the bottom and heavier at the top. And so as I get in a more favorable position, as I get closer to lockout, I'm able to really slam into it, right? But if I do that with just 135, it's so much easier for me to hurt myself. In addition to that, I can't apply as much force because there's not as much resistance here. So strength training, to me, what it's always been about, it's not about maximal weights, it's about optimal weights. And that could be so deceiving because you see some big lifts. You see some big lifts going on, especially right now on the internet with how strong some of these young guys are. It is insanity out there. 900-pound deadlifts, 600-pound benches, and 900-pound squats and 1,000-pound squats becoming normal, like normalish. Within the sport of powerlifting, within strongman, it's obscene. It's great to see. But what is not seen or what is not paid attention to is when these individuals do these lifts, they are not all-out lifts. They are lifts that are done with a lot of precision, a lot of form, a lot of technique, and they're well within their range for that person's capacity. I would say that a lot of times these things are within 85 to 90% of what they could actually do. Whether they're doing a double or triple or whatever, they could probably do double the amount of reps. If they do a double, if someone does a double with 850 that you see on Instagram and it's done with pretty good form, you could bet that same person could probably do that for 4. Why don't they do it for 4? Because they're smart and they live to lift another day. That's what this game is all about. If you want to be strong, strength is not accumulated overnight. It's accumulated over a long ass period of time. And so one of the key factors is that you can stay in this game for a long time. So it takes weeks, months, and even years and decades to not only get strong, but to even get good at a lift. Ask an Olympic lifter, say, hey, how long have you been practicing that for? And if they're really proficient in a clean and jerk or snatch, minimum of a decade, in most cases. And you can see like what's happening to me afterwards, like whoa. Now it shouldn't be that drastic. It's because I haven't done this in years, but I'm trying to put everything that I got into each and every rep, even though this is a lighter weight. I'm trying to really double down and smash the fuck out of these weights, right? So here we go, we're gonna do it again. What I like to, this builds up some good rhythm, builds up some good momentum. These are perfect reps. By doing perfect reps and doing things the right way, you're sending a message to your body over and over again. Hey, we know how to do this. Hey, we know how to do this. Hey, we know how to do this. When you get heavier weights on there and you go to unrack it and you hold it, you might say, oh shit, this is heavy. But the second thing you're gonna say to yourself is, we know how to do this. Because you have the reps, you got a lot of perfect reps in there. This will build a tremendous amount of confidence and it will build a tremendous amount of aggression. Go fucking nuts on these sets. Like literally get inside your brain and pretend you're like punching the fuck out of somebody or whatever frame of mind you got to get yourself in to get yourself there. Fucking do it. Here we go. Just think, you know, right here, you're grabbing the bar with some ruthless aggression, John Cena, ruthless aggression, right? Mike Tyson, bad intentions. You have bad intentions. You're thinking of some violence. Whatever you have to do. Everyone's a little different. Some people don't need to get hyped up that way, but for me, that's the way I like to think before I do these lifts. Squeeze the bar with everything you have. Everything you got, put everything you got into it. When we're unracking the weight, whether I'm unracking the weight myself or somebody is giving me a lift off, I'm scraping the weight out of the rack. And that scrape, if I'm doing it by myself, is gonna look a little bit like this. Up and then scrape. Up and then scrape. You're scraping your tricep along your lat. You're scraping the weight. You're doing a lat pull down. You're doing a, you're doing a lat pullover. Okay? At first, we need a little bit of like a tricep. So you're gonna pop that weight up and then you're gonna scrape the elbows down and in, and we're here. Bam, 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 bam. It's weird to go from having your back contorted a particular way on this right into deadlifts, because my back was just bent this way and now it's going bent that way. I feel like, what is that thing called? An accordion? I think that's what it's called. Accordion sounds good. See if we get a little jump in there. Feels good. You guys can see over there, Russell's rolling out some tissues in the back, trying to get to some things that are bugging him, bothering him. I tell people about exercises like that all the time. They never want to do them. They don't want to take the time to get down on the ground and do them. Not easy for a big guy like that to get down on the ground and do that. But he knows the payoff. He knows that it's going to be helpful. So when you understand how helpful these things are, you'll be more and more encouraged to do them. No pull-ups were done during this set, or were harmed. I just like doing those half reps sometimes. They're easier for me, so I get to build confidence and do some reps in there. Woo. I'm gonna pull these bands off. I don't know how many fucking sets I did, but I did a bunch of them, right? We just need a bunch of repeats. It's the same thing with what I'm doing with sprinting right now. It's like, even when I was lifting, I didn't really count anything. I didn't count sets or reps all that much. I had an idea in my head of what I wanted to do, so it was approximation, and I just did it. But when I'm sprinting, it's like, I'm gonna do 2 or 3 sprints, and then do I have energy to produce the same results again? If I don't, then the session's over with. Because I'm trying to be strong, I'm trying to stay strong, I'm trying to stay explosive. If the form leaks and the form goes, discontinued. Sometimes it might be different if it's just for conditioning, but for speed and for explosiveness, you want to try to make sure you're keeping that coordination, keeping that form and technique. So I'm going to pull these off, and you get to kind of witness how strong these are on here. Watch. I'll do it on this side. I mean, this takes a lot of tension to put this on. So now, I'm gonna add a pleat. Remember, scrape those weights, pull those weights out, pull them with your lats. Barbell, always rolled to the front of the rack. Why? Because I fucking said so. Page 43, everybody. Roll the bar to the front of the rack. This will help. This won't guarantee, but it will help and assist. This is the front of the rack. That's the back of the rack. Front, back. Roll it to the front of the rack. This will help a lot with ensuring that you're not going to clip the bench on the way up. It's the worst way to lose a bench in training, or, and see now we got big man over there. We got him doing some stretches and stuff too. Because we already got him on the ground, right? So now he's doing some stuff that maybe traditionally he wouldn't do, which is great. So that's what some of that myofascial release will do. It'll encourage you to move around and check your body in a bunch of different ways. But it's going to ensure that we don't hit the lip. It's the worst way to lose a bench. And in competition, if the weights ever start to come back down, the lift is over. The referee in the back, he will disqualify you. He will say, take it. And when he says take it, your lift no longer can even be judged by anybody else. It's over with, and it's not a good lift. You'll get 3 red lights for that. So to ensure that doesn't happen, line yourself up on the bench correctly, but always roll it to the front of the rack as well. I always put my head over the top of the bench. Regardless of the dimensions of the bench and how it was made and how it was built and who built it and what company made it and so on, I always hang my head off of the bench by a few inches, maybe 6 inches or so. Then I will, depending on the length of the bench, I don't really ever look at it. I align myself, once my head's off the bench a little bit, I align myself with the barbell. And I want the barbell to pretty much be like right over my eyes. And then I want to, because I'm lifting off myself, I am going to be this way a little bit more because I have to sort of pop the weights out with my triceps a little bit. And then I'm going to pull the weight out. But watch, set up the same way every time. My feet, I put my feet on the bench on purpose. I get my back totally flat on the bench on purpose. This would be the worst way to bench press. And I've always liked that cue. Okay, this would be a shitty way to bench. Why? Because look at how far I'd have to press. I'd have to press right over top of the whole rack if my upper back is rounded and my lower back is like flat like this, right? I'd have to like almost do like a sit up to like press it all the way. I don't want that. I want the opposite of all that. So I want to take my upper body and I want to stuff it down into my lower body. So I do that by doing that. I do that by doing a row, all these movements I've been doing forever. Hey, April. And I push myself into position like this. And I take the shoulders down and back. Lats are flexed. Remember I said I start with my head off the bench. So I will go up here a little bit more. I got to get my hands set. So my fingers, my pinkies go on the power rings. Everybody's a little bit different with how wide they want their grip, but that's where I want mine. I'm going to move only my upper body and my spine, but I'm not moving my hips. Because if I move my hips, then I just went like this, and that did nothing. I'll do that again. If I move my hips, if my hips go down towards my ankles, then I did nothing. I did no readjustment in my form or technique, right? So my head's slightly off the bench. I'm going to shorten the distance between here and here by creating an arch. Creating an arch. And then my head is going to be now in line with the bench. We are doing this to increase stability and to decrease the range of motion. Increase the stability and decrease the range of motion. It's been a little while since I've taught this, but here we go. So back is flat. Now I am going to shorten everything, stuffing my upper body into my lower body, or some people like to say stuffing your shoulder blades or your rear delts into your back pocket. So I'm going to pick up my upper body but leave my lower body where it is. I use the bar to swing and pivot off of, and now I just go like that. How did I just go like that? I'm not really sure how to explain that totally, but I did a row. I literally row myself off the bench. My ass is in the same spot. My ass is the anchor of this whole thing. And then I actually use my head a little bit to kind of throw myself down like this where I'm shorter. And now because I am lifting off myself, I have to wiggle myself towards the top of the bench just a little bit. Now my feet have to go down, but they have to go down kind of gently. I can't just willy-nilly throw my feet down because I can't unwind what I did. And if I did this correctly, my knees should be lower than my hips. Knees should be slightly lower than my hips. Now I'm ready to unrack. I pull my elbows out a little bit. Out. And then scrape the weight. Knees out. And there you have it. Why do the knees go out? Well, if you're benching and your knees cave in and you start to lose some of this and you start to go on your toes, then you start to lose your whole midsection. And you just made yourself longer and made yourself have to press further. I already have to press really far. It's amazing I was ever able to bench anything because I don't have short arms necessarily. But I made myself shorter by making myself bigger and by learning this technique of pulling myself into position. Pull yourself into position. Knees are out. If the knees come in, look what happens. I start to go like this. Knees are out. Out. And the knees stay out. You don't like let them waver, but some people, some people as a technique will kind of do that, but not for you, not for now. Start out, just hold that isometric position. By the way, come over here. That's how you fucking bench press, you pieces of shit. I've been telling you guys this for decades upon decades. That's how you fucking bench. That's how it's done. So fucking pay attention. Page 43. I say it all the time. It's the same page it's always been. Woo. One more set of pull-ups. I'm gonna punch my brother in the face. That'll be the end of the workout. You guys out of here?
Yeah, I'm out here, dude.
Great to see you.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
Punch in the face.
Came in for a
Thanks for the
workout,
cold plunge. I feel good.
got a bench press
Tutorial.
intro.
Yep. Good to see you.
You're up. 315. Let's go.
Somebody give me a slingshot.
That's right. Did you just Gucci goo him? Did you get him?
No, I wanted to do really bad.
You wanted to tickle the armpits? That would be kind of amazing if you like blew on his stomach.
Little raspberry while I'm doing triceps.
Yeah.
There's not really many men that can hold me and make me feel secure.
Yeah.
You know, I respect the sheer mass and strength of this man more than anyone will ever know.
He does have unbelievably large arms.
He's a giant man. He's a giant man.
I'm more intimidated by the forearm than anything. That upper forearm of yours right here.
Oh yeah.
That's a big old slab.
That was Matt Wenning. His
Ah.
words of he went to West Side and he wasn't getting the respect, and they said, "Work on this right here." And that's it. That's your secret to bench.
Secret weapon.
He was gone for a few weeks, came back and built it up, and they go, "All right." So like, those words were,
Yeah, and Matt Wenning hit a 6'11" bench, I think, in competition.
which is insane.
He was real deal, man.
Yeah.
And you hit. That's fucking awesome.
I was 15 away from Smokey that day. I've been chasing him forever, but
He hit 485 or something, right? Recently?
it was him. And then the following week he tried 500, and
It's amazing doing that at 181.
yeah, that's insane.
I love always teasing Smokey about the 181 because it's like 181 like every year just like got further and further and further away.
Yeah.
And he'd always talk about it. And then it became 181-ish, and then it was like 198-ish.
But right now I just need to accept it. I'm gonna get weaker in this
Mhm.
walking of 70 pounds.
Yep.
It's something I haven't been able to chew on yet before, but making it a point this time.
Seem pretty locked into me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I helped Brandon and I helped Russell, who was in here earlier. And, you know, I get helped by a lot of people too. And whether it be, you know, Stan Efferding, Ed Cohn, Andy Triana, Jesse Burdick. It really doesn't matter who it is that's been helping me over the years. The constant thing that I've seen time and time again from my own behavior and from the behavior of people that I help is that when you don't hear from them, it's horrible news. No, it's not horrible news. It's just not, it just means you're probably not, like everyone's not probably heading in the right direction. And so a lot of communication, and it's hard, it does, you know, no one wants to communicate saying, hey, excuse, because we all know, like we all learned about the excuses and we know that they're not acceptable. And I think what happens is you go to text somebody, excuse, and you're like, don't send that to anybody. Because you're like, I'm not gonna waste anybody's fucking time with that bullshit. And I've done that, I'm guilty of it myself. That's how I know about it. And so just for those of you that have a coach, or for those of you who are thinking of having a coach, if you're going to have a coach, you really got to turn over the reins to them, and you have to communicate a lot with them. In fact, I would even encourage you to try to over communicate. And if that person doesn't like it, see if you can find a different coach, or find somebody that has a different way of maybe communicating as a coach, because there shouldn't really be a coach who's like, hey man, you're over your limit of questions, bro. You know, obviously they have to make their money. People do that for a profession. But at the same time, they're invested in your results. So there sometimes are stupid questions. Like I do think it's kind of funny that there's been some bodybuilding coaches over the years where people send them a message. They say, hey, what about my cheat meal? And then there's just no response ever. I mean, like, hey, you're trying to get on stage and be an elite bodybuilder. Like, let's just not even have a conversation about it. So I know Hani Rambod and a couple other guys were kind of famous for some of that. Plus, sometimes a coach might not want to play into your confusion, because it's so easy to like send somebody like, hey, what do you think about this message that was on Instagram? And what do you think about that one that's on Instagram? What do you think about that one that's on Instagram? And really, just the truth is, we gotta pick a style, pick a thing, try to go with it, stay in your lane, work on that thing, work on that diet, work on that exercise plan. And if you go 5 days with no progress, the goal is, if you're trying to lose weight and nothing's happened, then you have to start to evaluate some of the things that you're doing. Because you should be able to, especially if you're very heavy, you should be able to consistently lose weight. Now, if you already lost 80 pounds or 100 pounds, it's going to be harder. But you should be able to consistently over time drop the weight. And again, of course, you're going to have plateaus, you know, peaks and valleys, and all kinds of different things are going to happen. But that felt like a great workout. I don't really think there's any reason for me to do anything more. I am kind of like, I should maybe do, you know, but I think all I'm going to do is a little bit of tricep work, just for blood flow and just for elbow sludginess. And that's because that felt great, and I feel like I did everything I needed to do. So I think that's a big factor in your workouts. You know, make sure that you're sending a good signal to your body, and when that signal's sent and it feels like everything's good, then fucking keep it that way. When I used to train people, we would get towards the end of the workout, and I'd say, hey, you want to do more? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, cool, we're done. That's the way that you should leave the gym. You know, you don't have to be frothing out the mouth for more reps and sets, but you should be a little, I don't think you should always leave it all at the gym, you know? Occasionally give no fucks and go for it, but I think it's good to leave a little in the tank. So like for me today, I was, you know, got on a run with my wife today, and that was great. and then gotten here to train. Rest of the day is really just a lot of relaxing and kind of kicking it with family, so that'll be really cool. Yeah, just a little tricep work. And you know, I'll do some flies. I'm just thinking of like health, right? And mobility and strength of the tendons, ligaments, and joints. So I will do a couple sets of flies. I'll do a couple sets of triceps.
5 on Wednesday.
378.
So it's-
I think you'll be in the 350 range, like pretty fast.
Yeah. I'm
And then-
hoping maybe early-ish
Yeah.
November
Mm-hmm.
or earliest December. Right now that I have a set date, like the last time I'd done this, I had a date that I'm going to Santorini, and I'm not flying on a plane at 450 pounds. Where this time I also have another set date, like I can't back out. There's no refunds. That I need to hit it by that time.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I would just kind of look at the weeks too. Like you looked at the days, looked at the weeks, and every like Saturday, you know, try to weigh this weight-ish. And even if for some reason if you're 6, 8, 10 pounds away at the end, if you're, let's just hypothetically say you do a great job, you lose a bunch of weight, you feel good, you're pretty happy. Let's just hypothetically say let's say you're 321 and the contest is like not too far away. I would just say we just stay there. And what I would suggest that you do is, like, I know we had, you know, very particular goal of like a very particular thing, but honestly, like, I don't see anything wrong with, in that scenario, just weighing the lightest that you could weigh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you weigh in and you weigh 312. It's like, oh, well, we fucked up a little, but it doesn't really, you know what I mean? I know that it seems like you're kind of giving in to, like, you're being defeated, but no, the whole point of what you were doing in the first place was to lose weight anyway.
Yeah.
And did it work? You know, if you can get to the meet and you can remain under 330 pounds, then you won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know that, again, the goal, that's cool. If we got this fucking precise goal, let's fucking weigh 308. But if you got to like 325, it's not harmful. It's actually helpful. It's still really good.
Yeah. And for me, like right now, in the very beginning of it, we all have that motivation spike. It's the all or nothing mentality right now, and so like even talking about even only hitting 325 is like
not
that's not an option right now for me.
Yeah.
Like I can't accept that fact right
Yeah.
now. It has to be 308 right now, and like you had said earlier, it wasn't like if we don't hit it, it's I could have done this better. It's like no, that's not an option. I'm not gonna give myself that opportunity to say I could have done this better. So I know I've said this a lot in the past, and I know I've probably broken a lot of trust in things that I say, but you're still here for me.
Yeah,
you
for
made
sure.
that very clear. But this is something that I've talked about for probably about 2 years now. And like, I have to do it this time. I'm signed in, I'm locked in. I have all the resources around me. I've got you, I've got Chris, I've got Charlie, I've got like gym moms in Elk Grove that if I need anything, they're there for me. If I need mental clarity.
Let's make a bigger goal too. Let's say like, let's have you weigh under 300 before the end of that month.
Yeah.
You know, so that way you do the contest and maybe you have some food a day or two afterwards, but then it's like, oh shit, be careful with the food.
Yeah.
Because we got another weigh-in at the end of the month. You know what I mean?
And now at the competition, I know I'm a big eater.
Yeah.
I'll kill the whole pack of Uncrustables at the competition. And so.
Oh my God, have you ever seen like how many Uncrustables the NFL goes through? You ever see that?
I haven't. I can only imagine.
Oh my God, it's like millions of dollars worth of Uncrustables. It's crazy.
I can imagine they all eat like kids.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because they work out like crazy. That's all they have to do.
They're training multiple times a day, and that's a quick, easy food. I've never had any digestion issues eating a bunch of those.
Yeah.
You know, they go down quick. They taste amazing.
Yeah. So it's like Uncrustables and then like gummy bears. That's all I eat during the comp.
Right.
So I know that's probably.
Oh, the next day you feel awful sometimes, or even during the contest, sometimes you're like, man, I had too much sugar.
But then I think about it, I was like, I hit 9 green lights on every lift. I'm happy with it. I might feel like crap, but I still feel good because I did what I set out to do. In my 2 comps, I've only gotten 1 red light.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
happy with that. So
I think strength-wise, I think you're going to perform better than you think too.
My last competition, I was at 1650 as a total. If I can just stay in the 1500s, I'll be happy. And I know that to get down there, it would take a lot from all my lifts, but I don't think it's going to be that much.
I think a big thing is just kind of forget the lifts that you did previously, just for now. And those are always going to be floating around in your head. But if you try to train with similar percentages, you'll be fucked.
Yeah.
Because the weights will be too heavy, and you want the weights to be too light.
Yeah.
Like you want it to be, so like I'd rather, let's say you're just in week 3, and let's hypothetically say I told you to do 5x5 for 3 weeks, which I wouldn't really tell you to do, but let's just say that I told you to do that. Even on week 3, if you're like, hey man, the weight's still too easy, I love hearing that. I'm like, that's perfect, we're on track.
Yeah.
If you're saying that like in the meets, getting close, then we're sort of fucked. Right. Then I selected way too light of weights that aren't going to stimulate you the right way. But when you still have time to get stronger, that's actually perfect because those 5x5s aren't so stressful.
Yeah.
You don't want everything to be such a negative stressor. You want it to be a good, positive, strong input.
Right. And
and you've always had good form. I think
thank you.
Yeah, even your deadlifts actually. I remember your deadlifts are always really good, really smooth.
Thank you.
You pulled what, 670 or something, or
633 was my top.
Yeah. Yeah, deadlift might improve. Your deadlift
on top and I'm pulling.
Yeah, and sometimes the hands aren't as like chubby.
Oh yeah.
Trying to deadlift with a swollen chubby hands is not easy.
True.
The fucking grip gives out. How have the lifts been feeling so far?
Lifts have been feeling good. Every now and then I get a small impingement, but
In the shoulder?
in the shoulder, yeah, but I've always got Charlie like right there. Lined up and started.
Good.
Usually at the day of the comp I have
Here. This is just like staple movements to kind of keep all the tissues and everything. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and if I'm going to start to build my bench back up or build some movements back up, or even just to utilize a tool like a bench press to be able to overload the body, then I want to make sure that all the tissues are strong to be able to handle that. So it doesn't really matter that I'm not competitively powerlifting anymore. I'm still going to apply a lot of the same rules if I want to increase a lift. I don't always love to hear so much about studies for kind of a lot of reasons, but I do think the work of guys like Lane Norton and Dr. Mike Israetel, I do think their work is really important. I think the information that they have is really important. Dr. Mike has pointed out, now these aren't his own studies, these are studies done by other people, but I think it might have been Schoenfeld that might have done some of these studies. But regardless, some of these studies, it's interesting to know these things because sometimes you can apply them to yourself in whatever circumstance you want. So on assistance exercises, 8 to 12 reps a lot of times is the recommendation for hypertrophy. But also they have found that you can get to similar hypertrophy results with sets all the way up to 30. There's lots of different ways to do all this stuff, lots of different angles, lots of different versions of how you do all these things. But what I've noticed as a common thing is that usually assistance exercises are done with short rest intervals. You're done with what I would call incomplete rest. So you want to try to pop from one to another. Whereas when we're training for strength or we're training for explosiveness, recovery is more of a foe than it is a friend. Recovery, not being recovered, could be more of your enemy in particular circumstances. In the case of a sprinter, a lot of times there are circumstances where they don't want full recovery, but they want full recovery a lot of times to get into their next 200 meter, 100 meter, or if they're working starts and things like that, they don't want to be tired. They don't want to run 4 miles at a pretty fast pace and then try to work on their starts. With the current information we have now, that seems to be counterproductive, although that information may change because it always does. When I'm doing assistance movements, I like to just switch things up a little bit, make things a little different. Like, why not just get down on the ground here and try to have different angles? Like, be bent down more, move around more, move closer, move further away. Like, to me, it's just time to like have some fun in the gym. This takes, some balance and different coordination than just doing a regular tricep movement. If you're very specifically trying to, target and isolate and get hypertrophy, you may want to have stricter rules with the way that you do a movement. But I'm doing some of this more for the connective tissue than I am of the muscular system or the muscle tissue. So you can even kind of go to a side. Why not make it look funky or a little different? Because one of these angles, you might go to one of these angles, you might be like, fuck, that kind of hurts. And if it hurts, maybe you can work through it with like a lighter weight and get some of those owies out of there. I like learning a lot about my body though too. So to me, that overhead sort of French press movement feels good. But I'm gonna lower this down and do this where this is lower. Try that height. And now it should be more of a stretch. Yeah, now it's like, see, that's about as much as my arms are gonna stretch. So now I just kind of almost figured out after lifting, holy shit, after lifting for 30 some odd years, just found almost like a new exercise for myself just now today that could be pretty productive. That stretch and this elbow getting back here more is good for me because see how stuck I am? Or at least I think it's good for me. All right. Threw a little more weight on here. Yeah, it's been awesome helping Brandon out. He's getting ready for a meet in March. And he weighs about 370. We're working him down into the 308 weight class. Powerlifting for weight loss. Who knew? I used to do it all the time. I'd go down to 308, I'd go down to 275 from the super heavy class. Only in powerlifting is there a weight class above 308. Kind of amazing. Think about that. UFC, their cutoff is 265. You can't weigh more than 265 pounds. Powerlifting's unlimited. You know, it's not about just like, you know, lifting weights in these like great positions all the time. What about, you know, being able to lift a weight like that out of kind of a funky position? I feel stronger with my arms in here more and with me keeping in a comfortable range in here. But when I go out more, it's just harder. Go from a dead stop here. Think, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger type of shit, right? We'll do one more set back and forth and we'll be out of here. Do you do any intra-workout drinks or anything like that? You mess around with like... What's the rest of the day look like from a food perspective?
So I know recently we've been doing kind of like 2 meals and then fast 24. This time I snuck in a 3rd meal this morning.
Good.
So I do think I'm gonna fast for the next 24 and then eat breakfast tomorrow morning. And then if anything starts to slip today, have a little bit of bone broth with some. I always throw a little bit of hot sauce in it.
Nice. I think with the protocol we're doing, if you can keep communicating and you can keep fasting, then you can bring in more fat.
Right.
So I know there's certain things you like to add to your foods and stuff, and I think you can bring those things back in, especially if we're doing good fasts. Like I know you like the, what is it, cream cheese and buffalo wing. Like that's good actually for what we're doing. But you know, if once someone starts to eat more, and if someone's eating a lot and they got a big boy mentality and they're doing keto, sometimes it's like this meal had 60 grams of fat, that meal had 40 grams of fat, that meal had 80, you know, and the calories just go boof.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Chris about like the lunches that I've been sending on the
Yeah.
list. Super low in fat, but that's only because I knew either that morning or that night, like I'm having a ribeye that's full of fat.
There you go. You got it. You got it. That's correct. That's the right way to do it.
The other thing we talked about was the comment I made on the legendary foods, what they had sent you. Chris is like, it's not that bad to have that stuff. I was like, no, Chris, for me right now, it is. I was like, if I have one, I'm going to have 5 more.
Yeah.
Maybe up to 8. And it's not what I'm supposed to be eating. Like right now, I need to have that locked-in mentality of nothing else except what's right here.
I'll tell you a great story, and you can film this if you want. Big Roy that trained at the gym. Have you ever seen videos of Big Roy?
Yes.
Yeah, Roy benched 900 pounds. He's the only lifter in SuperTraining history to did a 903 bench. Totally smoked it. Like he can't get up off the couch as fast as he benched a 903. I mean, it just was insanity. But Big Roy, somebody said to him one day, they're like, you're only a bench only guy. Like, why are you here all the time? And he said, this is where I need to be. Plain and simple, right? So exactly what you said. For you, for right now, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you're not supposed to, it doesn't matter if it's a Quest bar, it doesn't matter if it's, oh, it's just this little innocent thing, you know. You can kind of almost picture it as if, you can picture it as if you were flirting with another girl, but you're really committed to another girl, right? Like you're flirting with disaster. You know, that's kind of what it is, right? And maybe nobody knows, and maybe you're okay with it a little bit, but it's like, you know, deep down, it's not the right thing. Not the right thing for you for right now. So I like that mentality. Brandon's kind of mentioning some of these slippery slopes that we run into. There's companies like Legendary Foods, or even my steak shakes, and even some of the stuff I produce. That can be a banana peel for some people because it kind of opens up the floodgates on the taste buds, and you could say, oh, I'm just gonna have one of these, but then you have 4 of them, and then you end up in the same position as you normally would, because these foods are hyper palatable and they allow you to consume more, which ends up making you go over your calories ultimately over and over again, or just has you in that same frame of mind, which I think the frame of mind is worse.
Yeah.
It's worse than the actual calorie, you know. But yeah, I like, it's hard when you're someone that grows up, you know, I love ice cream. I love desserts. I think I may have told you, like I was with a bunch of family members and friends one time, and we went out to eat, and we all ate a good meal, and then they brought dessert out, and no one really cared that much about the dessert, but I loved the dessert. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And we all got ordered different stuff. So I ended up hammering all these desserts, and it didn't hit me until I was done with like the last one. I'm like, this does something, I believe this does something completely different to my brain than it does to theirs. And I need to be really fucking careful. And that was only a few years ago, and I was already, like I already lost a lot of weight and stuff, but I didn't really realize how bad the addiction was until that day.
Because I remember you had told me that story, but you had also mentioned beforehand that everyone was more excited about the drinks that were coming out.
Yeah.
You could care less.
Yeah, I didn't care about the alcohol. Yeah.
You were just looking at the desserts.
And they had some sort of like peanut butter cup dessert thing that just like drove me nuts. I was like, this is hitting some sort of like pleasure zone that maybe other people don't even have. I don't know. Like, this is wild. But I think each person has to, and that's what makes the diet so hard. Because one advice for one person, you know, can't be the same advice for another. And you're in different places at different times, because you've lost a bunch of weight a couple different times, but you're at different places in your life with different circumstances, different mentors, different people around you. That changes everything too.
Right. Yeah, like even today, I'm thinking, well, do I go push the sled for a little bit extra? Like I plan to end on the bike. Do I go push the sled for a little bit? Because I don't know. I could go home, lay on my bed, and unintentionally pass out for the rest of the day. And now I'm stagnant for the rest of the day.
Be less fat, everybody. It's that time of year. You got to really be on a mission this time of year. October, November, December. This is when it starts. The Halloween candy comes out. Those fucking pumpkin peanut butter cups and shit like that come out. It's just game over from there. And every year, Americans tend to put on a little bit of weight around the holidays, and we just never get around to getting it off, and we get more weight every year. So be really conscious of it this year. And at the very least, I totally understand the food equation. I totally understand how you can become like disenfranchised to eating a very particular way. You can be upset and annoyed and fall out of rhythm with it, but please do me a favor and stay connected to something. Stay connected to either your fitness, the sunlight, walking, lifting, running, something. Stay connected to like something. And if you find yourself kind of falling in a pit and you get disconnected from lifting, don't get disconnected from walking. If you find yourself getting disconnected from walking, don't get disconnected from lifting. You find yourself getting screwed up with your diet, don't just throw everything else out. Don't just throw everything else out because you stopped one thing and now you're like, fuck it. Because if we can just stick with the majority of these healthy habits for as long as possible, you'll be ahead in the long run. So if you could just think, like let's say you're 50 pounds overweight right now and you're watching this. You're 50 pounds overweight, you're 100 pounds overweight. What if you just lost 15 pounds every year? You start to go down the road a couple years, 2 years from now you're down 30 pounds, 4 years from now you're down 60, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? 15 pounds would only be almost like 1 pound a month-ish, a little bit more. Like, it's not a ton to ask. And how would you be losing 1 pound? How would you be losing weight like that if you just stay connected? So we have a lot of options. I really want to strongly encourage people to get that sunlight. I know it's going to get very, very fucking cold. Get yourself exposed to cold. Get yourself to see the sunlight, sunrise, sunset, sun in the middle of the day, whatever ways you have to see some of those, to see the sun at some of those hours of the day would be incredible for your health in general. Did some explosive stuff today. I got to do some speed bench. I had Brandon, Russell, my brother, and my brother's girlfriend, Angel. We're all in the house today. Had a great time doing some sauna and some cold plunge and stuff like that before we started to lift today. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. I'm gonna be working back my squat, my bench, my deadlift. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. You're not gonna, well, you never know. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later. Whoosh.